Welcome everybody to the Sunday School with Coach Keith Tate. I got my guy Marcus Moore in the building, former Waverly Warrior in the Lansing, Michigan area. I was fortunate enough to, I think it was either my first year or second year coaching. I think it was my second year coaching, which not that I know anything now, but I definitely didn't know anything then, that I was able to coach him when he was a sophomore on JV that year. That year that we went, I think it was like 19-1 that year. But you left us, so you weren't there. You weren't there to experience the defeat at the end, at the very last game on the buzzer beater. So
I've seen it.
yeah, man, that was crazy. So welcome, first and
Thanks for
foremost.
having me.
Yep. So, and before we get like rolling and getting started, I have to confirm something with you.
Yeah, what's up?
You started every college game except for senior night your freshman year.
Yes, I started every college game except for senior night, my freshman year, and then the one game I missed, the only other game that I've ever missed because of the
Concussion, the
concussion like
backboard.
protocols off of
Yeah,
Bama.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I didn't play that next game just because I was still kind of out of it. But
But
yeah,
every
only
game that you suited up for, every game that you played in, except for one, you started.
yeah, I want to say I'm like, not that I just go back and look at the records or anything like
I
that.
would, I would. Go ahead.
I think I'm like around like maybe top 10 or top 5 in games either started or played. So
Wow.
yeah, but I'm up there. I've had a blessing that I got a good situation for me when I first came in. So
Second thing I have to confirm. Hold on, I want to make sure I get the numbers correct because this is nuts. You became the first player in Wayne State University history with 1,000 points, 500 rebounds, and 300 assists.
yes, I do remember that. I remember when they said that, I was actually surprised. It's kind of, awesome to have my own kind of category and things
Man,
like
that
that.
is nuts. That is nuts, man. That is crazy. I mean, for one, congratulations on that, man. And for me, that really speaks to your game from back in high school. I'm a rewind to high school and we'll talk some more. I'll ask you a few questions. But in high school, your biggest, I don't even know if it was your biggest attribute, but that was the thing though, is that defensively you could guard, you had the long arms, you're active.
Yeah,
Like it seemed like you took pride on defense,
yeah.
uh, in rebounding. You were a wing, big guard, point guard. You were kind of like everything. You were like everywhere. You kind of remind me of like a Stacey Augmon. That might be too old for you and other people that might watch. Um, but just a do everything player that can shoot, you can handle the ball, you can pass well. But then again, the defense and the rebounding part for me, watching you, especially your junior and senior year, is what like elevated you, because people can score, people can pass, but it was the steals, the rebounding, and you being able to get it off the glass and competently go up the floor. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So what was your I mean, I guess what was your thought process? Where did that come from? Was that in middle school? Did that happen during high school? Did it happen junior and senior year where you really like not necessarily focused in on defense, but like you really excelled at it?
Yeah. Oh, first of all, thank you. That was a hell of an intro. But for me, it was definitely, it's a team sport, and I want to bring any type of value and contribute to where we can win. Now, I would say kind of growing up, like I had a little bit of an offensive game, but my offensive game, honestly, in my opinion, really didn't start to flourish till later on in like high school and whatnot.
Mhm.
Um, you know, growing up, going into the YMCA that most of the kids, hopefully still nowadays, go over to the West Side YMCA in Lansing. Um, I would go up there with my dad and we would just essentially just do drills and stuff like that. And he always used to tell me like, be good in all areas of your game. Like don't just focus on shooting, don't just focus on dribbling, like be able to pass, be able to defend, be able to rebound, be able to see the floor, um, then more than just one tunnel.
Right.
So I really took pride in that, and that's really what it was, just taking pride because I knew that if I could contribute in multiple aspects of the game, like it's gonna give us a better chance to win. So, like I said earlier on in like middle school and stuff like that, I knew I was like not to say I was more advanced, but like I had a way of seeing the game differently than a lot of people. Now,
Mhm.
like I said, my offensive game, in my opinion, probably wasn't all the way there, but I knew that I could at least find teammates open or push the rock up the floor a little bit better than most of maybe at that age. And then again, it was just about taking pride on defense. I didn't like people scoring on me. It felt like that was embarrassing to me, you
Mhm.
know. So I definitely always knew that like my matchup, I gotta win my matchup no matter what. Like, for sure, there's gonna be times where I lost the matchup, but I took more pride than anything in my matchup. So
Mhm.
yeah.
I got you. So I didn't mention this in the beginning, but mentioning it now, you started out as a freshman playing freshman basketball.
Yeah.
My last guest, same situation. My last guest, the first guest, played freshman, on freshman, sophomore, the whole year played JV, and then went on to varsity. He ended up playing Division II his junior and senior year of college.
Mhm.
So same thing with you. Started out a freshman. What was your thoughts? What was your thought process then? Were you just happy to be on the team? Were you like bummed because you didn't go up higher? What was your again thought process when you were a freshman playing on freshman?
Yeah, so back then for sure, I was short. I mean, I'm 6'2" now, but I was definitely going into high school. I think I was around like 5'6", 5'7" maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So I was definitely smaller than some of my peers and some of the other players that maybe was a freshman that maybe joined the either the varsity team. I don't think we had any freshmen on our varsity team at that time.
I think so.
My boy Mike Fomby obviously was a freshman that joined the JV team. And I remember all of us boys, we were real close and we were so happy for him to join the JV team, but we were also all like, wow, we want to play together. Like this is our first time really playing together because my other friends, Kevin and Emmanuel Kirkland, they're usually football players, but they made the basketball team. So we were all just kind of excited, and Idris did. We were all excited to just kind of play together. But Mike was way better than most of the freshmen. So I was like, do your thing, kill. And again, in my opinion, I kind of knew even looking back then, like I just was not as advanced on my offensive game, particularly.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I
Offensive
was
bar is like scoring the ball then?
scoring.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if I don't even know if there's stats from then, but like if you were probably looking at my stats, like it was probably like a 7 to 10 maybe points per game type of player. Maybe a couple games where I had like 15 or something like that as a freshman, but I was just like still kind of growing into my body, I felt like.
Mm-hmm.
So freshman year was just kind of just getting the experience, definitely just having fun at the end of the day with my boys and stuff like that. I'll be honest, nothing was on my mind at that age, at 14, 15, to think
Like
about college.
college or NBA or
Yeah,
nothing like that.
nothing was on my mind. It was just about being on the team, being with my friends, and
Mhm.
enjoying the experience that we had at that time. Obviously, with the AAU type of stuff, I played for Triple Threat most of my life, growing up throughout that whole Triple Threat system. And then, yeah, freshman year, I played Triple Threat. And then that's when it got like, when you get to high school, those games start to get really competitive and you start to see differences in skills and stuff like that. So, out of my freshman year, I think we again went 19-1. We lost the first game against Holt. Um, we went 19-1. So coming out of that is when I started to notice my growth spurt a little bit too. So
Mhm.
from about, like I said, 5'6", 5'7", I grew to about 6'1", 6', 6'1", going into my sophomore year. Started to use my athleticism a lot more, started to just sprout out, be able to,
Yeah.
almost dunk at that time, clean. Started to rebound, defending was just getting crazy. I just started to evolve in my game and I started to take it a little bit more serious because I'm starting to notice that, hey, maybe I got something here, right? My jump shot started to fall a lot better and things like that. The AAU run was just amazing. We just, of course, we're just having fun, but we started to play against way better competition that made me a hell of a player.
Mhm.
So going into, yeah, that sophomore year, I was ready to kill on JV.
Mhm.
And at that time, again, all of us, our boys are finally, we're all on, JV together. So that was like that freshman process going into my JV sophomore year.
Yeah, so what I like about talking to you right here is just because I was there for
Yeah.
not during your middle school, but I didn't know you as a freshman. I knew you as a sophomore. Um, Well, I seen you as a freshman, but I didn't know you. So you're on freshman as a freshman. Mike's on JV as a freshman. So boom, fast forward to your sophomore year.
Yeah.
Mike has the opportunity to play varsity.
Yeah.
He got offered to play varsity.
Yeah.
He turned it down. Me and the coaches are like, "What are you
Yeah.
doing?" And rest in peace to Mike Fomby
Mike.
Senior. I don't know what he told little Mike what to do or what not to do, but we were like, "Man, why aren't you playing varsity? Want to be with his homeboys."
Yeah.
And at some point during that sophomore season, I
Yeah.
don't know if it was 12 games in, 15 games in, but basically you got the call up to varsity and
Yeah.
went ahead and went up to varsity. And yeah, because during that season we were undefeated on JV.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
just doing super well. And yeah, like I said, lost that last game on a buzzer beater. But so real quick, going back to the AAU situation
Yeah.
in just even your high school time overall, what was your training like at that time? Once you realized like, oh, I might have something, and you're
Mhm.
playing against better or more competition,
Yeah.
what's your training looking like then?
Yeah. So nowadays, I feel like everyone either has a highlight tape or a highlight video or a trainer or something like that. I didn't have that. We just really just got outside per
Hmm.
se and just went and hooped. Like I said at the YMCA, if you're around in that 2010 to 2014 type time span, we were just at the Y hooping against each other. All
Hmm.
kids from, Lansing Everett, Lansing Sexton, those are like near that YMCA and Eastern. Like we really would just run the courts right after school. So
Hmm.
um that was like most of my just like playing experience. Now with my pops, yeah, I would like, we call each other up and be like, let's go put some shots up, let's go work on some drills and stuff like that. So I would say like if I were to say I had a trainer, he would kind of be more of my trainer in that time span. And then going to the AAU type stuff, rest in peace, Big Mike. He was our coach and he
Hmm.
was enthusiastic about just relentless energy. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So we
So,
definitely used to go at it, all of us boys, throughout the city of Lansing and stuff like that, who was on triple threat at the time. We would just go at it in practice. Like
hmm.
you're only gonna get better when you play against better individuals and you just play. Like
Hmm.
for sure, drills and training and stuff that definitely does help, but not every single time is that a game like situation.
Okay.
So although these are just practices that we're going through during AAU and stuff like that, like but we're treating it like game like situations.
Yeah,
So
sure.
that's pretty much like all the training I would say I would did. I mean, I would go up to the Y, by myself a lot of the times and just work on things I felt like I could improve on. I was all my friends know I was on YouTube early and like looking up highlights. I knew
Oh,
all the
really?
players. Like I knew I was just every time after school I'll go to highlights and just watch stuff and just like consume the game and learn and
Hmm.
oh maybe I can implement that into my game, soak
Hmm.
up the knowledge. But yeah, just being at the Y every day kind of on my own or playing with the local kids or my dad. But there was no like I would say for me personally, I didn't have like a strict training plan or something like that. Now, every day I would say I probably was working on my game though, but it wasn't like a strict plan or nothing like that.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Man, I tell a lot of my kids, say just from when I coached in high school, like the ones that say, "Hey, coach, what do I need to do to work on my ball handling?" I'm like, "Well, there's a million drills to do with ball handling, right?" But I'm like, "Hey, dude, I used to going into my high school years, before I'm like a freshman on my street." Because
Hmm.
I'm like, all right, I got tough defenders on me, right? I'm like visualizing somebody full court pressure me, right? Like
Yeah,
man to man full court press, and they
yeah,
want to force me to my offhand. So what
yeah,
did I do? I sprinted up and down my street, literally. There's rocks, it might be potholes, whatever, drilling
yeah,
with my left hand as fast as I can,
yeah,
back and forth, because I didn't want to look stupid in the game.
mhm,
I want to get minutes for one.
yeah,
Don't want to
yeah,
turn the ball over, and I ain't trying to get, embarrassed either. So yeah, it just goes back to like I do think like having trainers is good and so on and so forth. But sometimes it is just as simple as like, hey, I need to go play. I need to
yeah,
just go to the park. I need to just go
yeah,
on the street, the driveway, the garage, the basement. whatever it may be, man. So no, I definitely understand just going out and playing and doing something, and great that your father was there though to help with some of those things as well, man. So fast forward into like your junior and senior year, right? Like you're getting some production on as a junior on varsity, obviously as a senior. What was that process like for you, like mentally and like literally, as far as like, hey, now I'm starting to get recognized. The other team, I'm on their
Yeah,
scouting report,
yeah,
and also that I may or may not be getting looks from colleges.
yeah,
So we'll get to the college part in a second. But what was the thought process like as far as you being on top of the scouting report? Like you're getting noticed. You're
yeah,
starting to really like take it up a
yeah.
little.
So with that sophomore year, I think it low key was about 7 games.
Mm,
And the head coach at the time, he would definitely be like, hey, college coaches don't look at JV stuff. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I understood that at that time. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest. The JV stuff was just too easy. It was just way too easy. It was fun making highlight plays and stuff, but I
ain't that
knew,
was smacking teams too? Like
yeah, we
yeah,
were we were smacking teams, and I knew the varsity team at that time had some really good players. That 2012 year, I think.
Roberts was on the teams, right?
Yeah, so we had Rashawn Carroll, D.
Uh,
Roberts,
uh,
we had Lewis Brown, we had Teeny.
mm,
There was a lot of players on that team. So I joined the team and I just wanted to contribute any way that I could. I know I wasn't gonna get like the same type of minutes I was as a sophomore on JV, but whenever I got in, I just elevated myself in practice, rebounding, effort plays. Like I knew I wasn't gonna be shooting all the time. And honestly, I was a little bit nervous. Like I'm
right.
like with these new team members who've already been on varsity, like let
Mm.
me not just try to impose my will on the offensive side. Let me show them that
Try to
like I'm
prove yourself as a scorer.
yeah,
Like, hey, let me just add value.
yeah. So like let me show them that I'm gonna make these effort plays. And honestly, every coach is gonna notice that and see like, okay, this cat is making the effort plays. He deserves minutes. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So there were some situations where I was getting in, early minutes, first quarter, second quarter, and I'm a sophomore, and there's, respectively, there's other juniors and seniors on the team that weren't getting those minutes. So like,
Mm,
it was starting to show like, okay,
yeah.
hey, this kid might be something. So heading into that junior year, sophomore year is really no expectations I feel like I had for myself. I was like, just let's just work. Let's get ready for junior year. And, with Rashawn Carroll at the time going to college, there's point guard opportunity. So going into that junior year, I became the starter in the one for Waverly and whatnot. And I remember that first game we had at Holt, I was so nervous. Like I was like, oh my gosh, this is my first varsity game starting.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we kind of had like a little rivalry going on with them because the same cats that I grew up playing against in AAU and all that, they're on that team. So and they've already been on varsity. So
And
I'm
for
like,
years, Holt and Waverly's was the first game of the season.
yeah, great matchups too. Like great matches. I'll give them the credit. We lost by 3 that game, but I started off hot. I think I scored like 7 or 9 in the first quarter. So I had a good first quarter. I don't remember what I finished with, but throughout that whole junior season, it was really just about development. I feel like we had a great team. That team too. I was just talking about the other day. I really thought like we had the talent enough to
Mm-hmm.
make it to the Breslin that year. Like we did.
That the year you guys went to the regional
Yeah, we went to
final?
regionals and lost to Grand Rapids Christian, who had like Drake, not Drake Bell, Drake Harris.
Yeah,
He played football at Michigan. They had
yeah.
another cat. Oh, I can't remember
I
his
can't
name.
remember the name. I know they had like two guys that were like some
Yeah,
athletes that were yeah.
yeah. They another one went to Colorado. I can't remember his name, and I grew up with him, but we lost that game. That was terrible because I really
Was
thought,
that Brown? Was that
yeah, Deleon Brown.
okay? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's five.
yeah.
That's five on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Deleon Brown. So he was there. I think he might have been a freshman or sophomore that year, but I really thought we were gonna make it that year. I had it started everything was just starting to click again. Like I'm
Mm,
starting to improve on my I had some good games where I'm like 15, 19 points type of games, and there's games where I definitely maybe had like maybe 7 or 10, but at the end of the day, like I was trying to make sure that we were gonna win.
Right, right.
So, in terms of players starting to scout me, I think throughout the rest of the year they started to um, notice some of the things I'm doing, and I started to realize, there's shooter, he's driving right, driving, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
I know I had the awkward jump shot. I'm quote unquote ambidextrous, shoot left but drive right.
Right.
Um, but I started to hear coaches saying this, and that every time I got the ball up the court. So it was definitely a different feeling. I felt great about it. Um, but going into senior year, it was go time. It was like at that moment, I felt like I didn't have a lot of looks
Hmm.
compared to maybe other people that I knew, and I was just like, it's time to turn it up.
So
Like
did did you have any conversations with any college coaches your junior year that you can
not
recall?
not junior year, like throughout the year, but like going into senior year, I
Okay.
was talking to like I think I had a couple contacts with like some JUCOs, stuff like that. But Grand Valley was like the first like bigger school at the time
Mm.
that
Just
kind of reached out
reached
to me.
out. All right.
Yes.
Schools contacting you, just saying, "Hey, we like your game. We'll be in touch." Type situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So and then junior year I played AAU with triple threat to start that summer, and then I did a tournament. That's when I did a tournament with Fist out in the Ypsilanti area.
Mhm.
It was getting coached by Carl Thomas
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Eastern Michigan. So um he kind of recruited me. He's always kind of been like family, so
Mm.
he kind of already knew about me and whatnot. And he offered the opportunity. Went out to Vegas with them.
Yeah.
But that was awesome. I mean, that was the first link of like potential
Kind
pros
point. Yeah.
that were coming up through the circuit. Yeah, so
Mhm.
that was really awesome. That was the first time where I seen um a whole gym full of college coaches, like scouts, like
Mm.
lined up against the walls. Like, in the Lansing area, it's you might hear about a kid and you might show up, you might not. But at these premier tournaments, like there's coaches all across the wall. So it was like a very great experience.
Mhm.
We did all right. I think we might have went like 2-3 or something like that. Me and Mike Fonby both played with Fist that summer, and we learned a lot. And there was, like I said, it was all about exposure. That's what AAU is about, like getting as much exposure as you can. Um, I wouldn't say like after some of those tournaments that I played that I got maybe the exposure that I maybe have wanted. Again, I still felt at that time I still needed to develop, like I said, in terms of my offensive game. I knew I had defense, I knew I rebounded, I knew I could pass, but in terms of just like being consistent on the offensive side of just shooting and stuff like that,
Mm.
that started to trans into my senior like year. I started to build a lot of confidence and stuff like that.
So I'm gonna rewind this because I feel like this is a big piece, especially in the space that I'm in right now. So you're in the gym in Vegas with all the college coaches there, right?
Yeah.
Did you get contacted by any of those college coaches?
No, not me. They were at the time. My boy Tristan Wilson went to Ann Arbor Skyline, played at Wayne State with me. He was like the main focus essentially on the team, it felt like. Or Carl Thomas's son at the time, Brandon Thomas, just because his son and stuff like that. And he could shoot, he had a ratchet on him. But I feel like it was more like them. I don't think I was really on the radar. I don't know personally if maybe Carl was talking to any of them. I don't really know. But nah, I didn't really get any real recognition. Maybe my playing style at that time, maybe didn't get the recognition that I deserved or not. But no, I didn't. And I didn't take that as like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough or anything
Mhm.
like that. It's like, okay, well, my boy Tristan is getting these offers and he might have a size difference in me. He was 6'9", and what I'm saying height
That,
helps.
yeah, I
you
mean, you already getting looked at differently.
It helps. But I know at the same time, I'm like, I can play with these individuals. Like, I know I have the skill set. So, how can this summer going into my senior year, like, how can I shape and well round my game in order to have these contacts from these coaches and stuff like that? But yeah,
For whatever parents watching this, whatever kid, whoever, it's not a make or break thing, whether you
no,
play in front of 50
no,
coaches or you play for triple threat. You
no,
know
yeah,
what I'm
for
saying?
sure.
In the at Potterville Middle School. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It's getting better,
yeah,
you know.
no, yeah.
So yeah, that was the reason why I asked that. And again, it's great to get exposure because you can be seen, you can be that might boost your confidence, that might just everything. You're
Yeah.
possibly playing against some other good players that are getting good looks that
Mhm.
maybe you can make a name for yourself. But I just like
Yeah.
to say I asked that because you went there, you didn't get any offers based on your performance out in Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah. And for the parents, like if they're gonna talk to their children, like my attitude usually is like positive. Like I usually try to keep a positive, like coaches pay attention to all that negative energy that they put on the floor. Like your kid could be 15, 17, 20 points per game player. But if he's not for the team, if he's kind of selfish, like they notice that and they eventually just shy away from that. Like there's
Mm.
some things that some coaches definitely put up with, which is surprising. But for the most part, for all the coaches that I know, and especially at the level that I kind of played at, like they don't go for none of that attitude stuff. It's they're not gonna deal with that because that's like, no, your parents are supposed to handle that, not me.
All right, so your senior year, man. So you had a good summer, went out to Vegas, was able to play in front of college coaches. Um, but before then play with triple threat. So senior season happens, um, doing super well, won the league that year. The
Yep,
top,
we won the league that year. Yep. What you
okay.
say?
Or I couldn't remember because Jackson Lumen was good that year.
Oh,
So
I don't know. We might have tied it.
I
I
think
can't remember.
I'm pretty sure it won the league. So what's going on during your senior year with yourself is your game? I mean, yeah, 'cause, I mean, you're hitting threes, you're still getting steals, you're getting
Yeah.
breakaway dunks, you're doing a little bit of everything. And you know who you remind me of, man? You remind me of a shooting um, Ben Simmons. Shooting Ben,
Yeah.
like that was your game, man. Is that like just everything, man? Just whatever, 7 inches shorter, but
Yeah.
shoot. But what's going on then during the season, like, and what's going on with schools, with colleges? Because right before the season, you said Grand Valley contacted you. You got some JUCOs that contacted you. What's
hmm
on during the season as far as any college coaches?
No, yeah, I feel like that's kind of how it was like almost the whole year. I think maybe a couple more JUCOs are reaching out, but like again, like not many like Division twos, definitely no Division ones. I'll be honest, no Division ones. Even though I was at the end of the season, I started sending tapes to everybody.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
during my senior year, like we had a good team. I felt like we were definitely undersized a little bit, um,
Hmm.
being that our tallest player on the team might have been 6'3", 6'4", maybe. Um, I think we were like pretty much in the mix of like seniors and underclassmen, in terms of just like the seniority on the team.
Hmm.
But heading into that, I knew it was kind of gonna be like I would say me and Mike were kind of like, the one-two punch.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of leading the team in points and other categories and things like that. So it was good to kind of have like a partner in crime,
Mhm.
along with everybody else. Everybody did their part, but we were probably like the two main
Oh, yeah, for
um,
sure.
people on the scouting report.
Yep.
But I knew I was putting up numbers and everything, but I at that time I still felt like I could do more. There was definitely some games where I didn't have great games and things like that. And sometimes as a player, it's all about confidence. And even if a coach is on your head, like you still have to try to know that they want the best for you and try your best not to take it personal, because at the end of the day, they just want to win just like you do. Um, but, I think sometimes as a player, I know me personally, like I've had instances where I've just went through a drought. Like I've had some games where I'm just like, dang, I don't feel like nothing is going in. And it's about how you kind of prepare yourself outside of the game to gain that confidence back. So, being in practice, kind of leading and showing that no, I can do this and then have that translate into the games. Um, I'll say, I mean, we had a really good senior year for the most part. I think we finished the whole season like maybe 15-5 or something like that, or 16-5. Going into the playoff game, I remember
You
we were
should have
talking,
the tall guy.
yeah, we were talking so much crap to this team, Eastern. I got a lot of friends on that team, and I think it was like we didn't get to play them in the middle of the season because something happened with weather. So we were all at this like conference and we were just going back and forth like, oh, when we play y'all in 2 weeks, like it's up type stuff. And then we didn't play them. And then come to fast forward, we meet them the first game of districts
At
and
home.
at home. So we had home. I remember that gym was rocking, home court advantage. And for the most part, it was a close game. Going into the fourth quarter, I think we were up maybe like 6 or 8, and I was having a great game. I think I finished. I might have finished with 20 and like 7 and 5, but they just they
Yeah.
just got us at the end. They got to the foul line and whatnot, and ended my career.
Yeah.
So, first game of playoffs, out, done. Don't really know what's about to happen. Like I didn't know what, because honestly, and this is just me personally, coming from a parent where I was kind of living with my mom and everything, and it was me and my little sister. I just didn't want that responsibility for my mom to pay for college. Like I just didn't. So it was either for me, it felt like scholarship or not going to college for me. Even though I know my mom would probably like push me to go to college. But I'll be honest, I wasn't like not to say that I'm not now, but school was never just like my thing.
Mhm.
I got good grades, but I just wasn't like I didn't really care too much about it. It was like basketball, basketball, basketball. I think a lot of athletes are like that. But we know it's important, right? But I was like, I know how much college tuition costs, and I'm just like, man, I don't want to put that burden on my mom, to help me out and things like that. So that senior night, or not the senior night, but that last game, I was definitely like, I don't know what's about to happen, and I think there was like there was a JUCO coach there and talked to me right after that, but I was just like, it's cool, but it's not really what I want. I don't really know what I'm gonna get out of this. Maybe I go JUCO and try to just like transfer up eventually, maybe with play. Grand Valley was still kind of in a weird spot with me. I didn't really know what was going on. Still trying to keep in contact with them. And I remember literally, I think we lost on a Tuesday. Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, something like that. And I didn't go to school the next day because I was like, I don't want, I didn't want to be around nobody. I'm like, I'm straight. Like I'm sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
And I never answer really any unknown calls, or like,
Mhm.
if I don't have your number saved, like leave a voicemail, maybe I'll get back to you. That's
Yeah.
just how I've always been. And for some odd reason at the crib, didn't go to school that day. I got a random call from a 313 at that time. Like I think I might have been out to Detroit maybe once or twice in my life, swear. And I live in Lansing. And I'm like, someone just told me to answer this call literally the next day, and it was Coach EJ Harrelson at Wayne State. And he kind of just was talking to me, saying, we've kind of heard around about you on your game. Sorry about your loss last night or whatever. But the head coach, Coach Greer, he's actually going to come out there and meet you and whatnot and kind of talk to you and everything. And I was like, never heard of Wayne State, day in my
Hey,
life.
random call, huh? Just out of nowhere.
Random call, yeah, and God kind of sends you those signs sometimes. You just got to listen to him and adhere to him. But, um, I was just like, okay, okay, we'll see what this is about and everything. And I remember Coach Greer coming, I think, like a week or two later, and I was just like in gym class, like it wasn't a workout or
He came to
nothing.
the school. So he came to the
Yeah,
school.
he
Okay.
came directly up to Waverly, which is about a what, like probably like an hour 15, hour 25 drive. Um, And I was just in gym class. Wasn't no workouts or nothing like that. I don't know what he saw from gym class, but he felt confident enough to me to tell me like, let's bring you in an official visit and everything like that. And I can't remember word for word, but I feel like I remember him saying like, no, we're gonna look into, offering you a scholarship. And like I said, at this time, like I've only been talking to these guys for maybe like 2 weeks.
Right.
And I'm like, Grand Valley's been on me for the whole year, and
Mhm.
I haven't really got scholarship talk at all.
No like official
You
visit,
know?
no unofficial visit, no
Yeah.
none of that.
So we end up going down there. I can't remember, it was a couple weeks or maybe a month. I first went back. I did another visit. Yeah, I did another visit at Grand Valley. I went to two visits. I did another visit at Grand Valley. That time I played with them. I played really well in terms of their we had an open run.
When was the first time you had a visit at Grand Valley?
I went before the season and probably like
Okay.
maybe like October or something like that. Second time was after the season, went out there. And this is very important. And this is not to discredit Grand Valley whatsoever.
Mhm.
But I felt like on my second visit, and even kind of my first visit, I mean, it's a wonderful campus. I mean, their football program is amazing. Basketball program is amazing too. Like wonderful campus. I mean, that was my first choice.
Right.
But when we were having these conversations with some of the coaching staff and everything, it just kind of felt like this is what we have, this is what we have, this is what we have, and not what are they going to do to,
Yeah.
help me out into my growth as not only a basketball player, a student, a man. You know what I mean? I just kind of felt like it was more so this is what we have to offer. This
You
is what
should
we have.
want us.
Yeah, you should like it was like you should want us, not we want you. That's what it kind of felt like. And kind of going into that final meeting with them, I understood the position that they had. They had a lot of guards on their team, and I think they had maybe only like two seniors. So they didn't really have enough room for me to offer me a full ride at that time. They were going to offer me a half. And I was like, okay, well, I'll keep that in consideration and everything. And the very next day, I went to Wayne State
Mhm.
for a visit. And when I went on that visit, Coach E essentially was our guide and everything like that. And he showed me around, and that was really my first time being downtown in Detroit and everything. And I just felt like way more family than anything. Like he
Mhm.
talked to me, we talked about basketball, but it was more so how they were going to groom me into becoming a man instead of just basketball or what they have to offer. Like it was a complete 180 in terms of just like the conversations compared to each other.
Mhm.
And after I left Wayne State, I just felt so like that they wanted me. They were going to groom me into this man that, my parents want to see me as well, because my father and mom both came and they just felt like, oh yeah, they talked very highly of how they're going to groom you. And literally that same night, they offered me that full ride scholarship while I was there, my mom crying and everything in the car. And that's, again, it was for me at the time, it felt like full ride or no school. You know what I mean? And again, it doesn't matter about what school. I mean, it does, but for the most part, I kept thinking about education and I'm like, this is going to be paid off like in full. Like no matter if I come here and I don't get the career that I want or play, like I'm getting a full ride scholarship to get education. So, I kept that in the back of my head. I'm like, full ride, half, full ride, half. Yeah, very nice campus, pretty dominant program, but I'm like, the way that these guys talk to me at Wayne State, I mean, I was like, this feels like more family than anything. So I went back, and again, this is for players who have to go into this type of situation. Be respectful and contact your other recruiter who is recruiting you. Be
Mhm.
a man about it
Let them know.
because yeah, because they're trying to invest in you and have spent time and maybe have traveled and things like that. So be a man about it and contact them and let them know that, you're going to be going with another option and you appreciate, everything that they've done for you and recruiting you and everything like that. So I did that with Grand Valley, called back Wayne State and let them know that I was going to be committing that night. So
I mean, that's awesome. So I don't know how much you know of this or don't know, and I don't know all the details, but to keep it short, is that Coach EJ hit up Desmond,
yeah, yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
like that he hit up Desmond, like, hey, who's the
In the
best
area.
player or who's some of the best players in the area?
Yeah.
Oh, the cat at Waverly, boom, boom. And it's crazy because that's just sometimes how it happens.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
And,
You don't know who knows who's
yeah.
seeing you on what night, on just whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It just
Because I know for a fact they didn't have no film of me.
right,
I know
right,
for a
right,
fact. I
right,
had to personally, because I was so geeked, I personally sent my film to, I think, either Coach Greer or Coach E. And I was like, here, look, this
right.
is me. And they're like,
Hey, look,
you're good.
I am good. Yeah.
Yeah, like you ain't got nothing to worry about. But no, yeah, like it's all about who you know and how you kind of represent yourself. I always felt like I carried a, pretty high and positive mindset about myself and representing myself pretty well. I know Coach Ferguson didn't really coach too long, so I'm like kind of grateful. I think it was his first year when he was going against me in my senior year, and we played them and we won, and I had a pretty good game. And it's just like, during that time frame, he didn't really coach that long, so I'm just blessed and happy that he was there to kind of witness,
The time.
me
Yeah.
and everything like that, and to give me that referral. I mean, it was appreciative. I tell him to this day all the time. I'm like, I'm so very thankful because he's came out, obviously close friends with
Coach
the
Easy.
coaching staff and like that. He's came and actually spoke at a couple of our practices and whatnot. And me and him are close, and I appreciate him to this day.
Yeah, man. It's just, it's just one of them things, man, too, that I appreciate in the fact of like, not that you're a perfect human, none of us are, right? But overall, you got good attitude. You didn't do nothing crazy in the
Yeah.
game. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's kind of one of them things, man. Like, do what you're supposed to do and let things play out how it's supposed to. So
Yeah.
let me fast forward. What is it like? All right, you sign, right? You
Yeah.
sign or you commit, you sign.
Yeah.
What happens after graduation from high school?
Yeah.
What
So
happens with when you go to campus, conditioning?
yeah.
Are you in classes in the summer? Like, what's happening, man? 'Cause I'm sure, like, it's just like
Let's
it's
just say it's the
moving on.
real world. It's the real world when you get to, no matter what division you're in or anything like that, it gets real. You have expectations and you don't got your parents there to hold your hand. So you need to be on time and you need to be aware of your surroundings and what you're doing because you represent that university or that school or whatever, right? So coming in, um, I knew I was frail. I was small, you know what I mean? I probably was like 165 at that time. And I was like, all right, I gotta try to get in these weights, throughout the summer, tried to lift a little bit before I got there. Um, and I remember the first open run that we had, it was like a very huge difference from high school basketball to college basketball. Very huge difference. The game is just paced way faster.
Mhm.
So it was like, whoa, this is what it is. And it almost kind of made me a little nervous. I'm like, dang, like this is how it is. I mean, these cats are shooting deep. I
Right.
mean, it's high transition basketball as well. It's not always just set plays. It's like getting to a certain you kind of know like what sets
Concept.
you're in out of your transition game. So it was just a very big eye opener and going into my freshman year again, the first I will never forget this. First day. First day of lifting, threw up. First day of lifting. And I was like, wow. Automatically went to my head. I was like, damn, am I built for this? Like,
Man,
am I
that's
built
crazy.
for this?
It's crazy.
First day threw up just off lifting. That wasn't even conditioning. It was lifting. And so that freshman year, I was very blessed with the opportunity to start because we did have a individual who came in as a grad transfer who actually got hurt 2 weeks before we played Michigan for our
Mm,
exhibition game, and I kind of stepped in. I was like the second, I was the two after him, and I came in, got those practice reps, started to kind of prove myself that I could, kind of run the team at this point guard position at that time. So, come fast forward to that Michigan game, I didn't even know I was starting till that day. Yeah, till that day, literally, we come in from warm up because you go in two times for warm up. So you come back in, put your jersey on. We're going through game plan. All right, Marcus, you're starting tonight. I'm like, whoa, like what? We playing Michigan.
hey,
Like
at
this time,
Chrysler Arena.
yeah, at this time they have Karis LeVert, Derek Walton, um, Cam Chapman, I can't remember Wilson. I mean, they had 3 or 4 NBA players on their team. You know what I mean?
They're U of M.
Yeah. So and they had Coach Beeline, like a
Yeah,
great. This
yeah.
is just a great program, and we come back in for the second time to go over the last game plan. He's like, "You're guarding Karis LeVert." I'm like, "Oh my." Dude's on the draft board, top 15 for that year. I'm just like, all right, well, let's take it as a challenge. So, obviously we got blew out. There's definitely a very big
Different.
difference in size as well. But we got blew out. It was a great experience, great time. But for my whole freshman year, going into that experience, the workouts they're real. They're real. I mean, you have to prove yourself in that weight room. You have to prove yourself in the conditioning aspects of all the workouts because they're gonna try to break you. They want to see what type of man you are. They want to see what type of
Yeah.
effort you're gonna bring because all these workouts, all these liftings, like these are setting yourself up for these games because it's a huge difference from high school basketball to college basketball. It's no games.
Between the physicality, the pace, the
Yeah,
amount of games, the
yeah,
intensity,
traveling.
yeah, the traveling part of it, yeah, it's big.
Schooling. I'll say this about the schooling real quick. So you got your 5 a.m., 6 a.m. workouts, and you got to turn around, get you a little protein shake, try to eat real quick, and you might have an 8 a.m. class, and you got classes maybe as a freshman, we'll say, as you start to get a little bit older into, your senior and junior year, like classes are starting to become maybe nighttime, or you can take more online classes. But that freshman and sophomore year, like you're definitely in the classroom. And then on top of that, you're doing community service. So your day is usually
Mhm.
jam packed. You got practices, workouts, study hall, studying for yourself, and
Right.
then making sure you go to these appointments and meetings with your coaches and everything. So it gets jam packed, but you just have to learn how to really prioritize your time and surround yourself around the right people. Like you have to. Like my teammates, I'm so thankful. We're really close to this day. We had a great group of guys that kind of just like we made sure that we were on our stuff because
Mhm.
it takes either a bad grade or a bad incident out at one night to end your scholarship.
Right. Be
You know what
done.
I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah. So, um, that first couple years was yeah, we weren't the most talented team. We definitely were not that good in the GLIAC, but by my junior and senior year, I mean, it was a complete
Right.
360. We were killing.
Right.